Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to focus on the UK's residential sector. We've got about 26 million homes in the UK. By 2050, we'll have about at least 23 million of them will still be standing, and they are responsible for something like 30% of our total national energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a big target. Now, it's quite encouraging at the moment. In recent weeks, we've had the leaders of the three main political parties in the UK agree that after the general election in May, they will take issues around climate change out of party politics. We've also had a range of senior politicians from from across the political spectrum, and also senior civil servants also say that large-scale, organised, coordinated energy retrofit is the next big nut we have to crack in the UK. So at Arup, what we're doing is working on the design of a national programme aimed at halving the energy we consume in all our homes in 25 years. It's an enormous challenge, and the size of the challenge means it really needs to be treated as a national infrastructure issue with equal importance to high-speed rail lines or new nuclear power stations. So we're preparing this report on the design of a national retrofit programme. We're going to issue it to all the main parties after the general election in May the 7th. We've assembled a big team of organisations to help us: local authorities, housing associations, academia and the construction industry. And we have the active support and guidance of Lord Deben, who is chair of the Independent Committee on Climate Change and was formerly Secretary of State for the Environment. Now, our report will not provide every detail of the retrofit programme, but it does need to be compelling and credible and sufficiently robust to withstand critical scrutiny. And the purpose of the report is to persuade the incoming government to initiate the preparation of the strategic outline case, which would establish the need for investment, appraise the main options for service delivery, and provide national and devolved administrations with a recommended way forward. I think this will probably lead to the creation of a new national delivery agency answerable to Parliament. There will be similarities to the Olympic Delivery Agency, but the task is bigger, longer lasting and much more complex. It intersects with policy and legislation, cuts across departmental boundaries and involves influencing the behaviour of every household in the country. It has some similarities with long-lasting campaigns such as drink driving or smoking or the digital switchover. So, to the diagram on the screen behind me. The common goal is point 6 on the diagram in the top right-hand corner: halve the energy demand of 25 or 26 million homes in 20 to 25 years. Now, that seems like a massive task. Interestingly, if you go back 40 or 50 years, as a nation, we have tackled a similar size problem already in the domestic sector. When the UK switched over from town gas to North Sea gas, the then Gas Council organised the conversion of 1 million homes a year for 14 years from one to the other. And we did that without computers, without the internet, without Facebook likes, and without trending hashtags. So I think if we could do it then, we can probably do it now. The programme starts at point 1, bottom left-hand corner, with cross-party consensus. Any programme that has to last 4 or 5 parliaments needs enduring cross-party support, and our politicians need new shared narratives to underpin their policies. And I think these are probably going to be around energy security, around health, and about stimulus to the economy. Now, point 5 on the graph on the table represents the 4 to 5 million homes in or close to fuel poverty in the UK. The UK definition is low income, high cost of energy, and about 1 household in 5 is in that category or close to it, and it's a national disgrace. So this is a group which needs publicly funded retrofits, and I estimate, and others actually come up with the same figure, that'll cost about £20 billion to fund. And that brings us to point 3. We need to aggregate funding from multiple sources, just as we did for the Olympics: EU structural funds, the Treasury, the energy companies, the devolved administrations, local authorities, housing associations, and the National Lottery. Now, it may be politically desirable in the short term to continue to oblige the energy suppliers to pay for retrofits for their poorest customers' homes. But I doubt if in the long term the UK can get to 2050 with a halved energy consumption without the energy companies on side. So I think we need further market reform in the UK. And here I think we can learn from the experience of revenue decoupling in the USA, which is now active in about half the states there, in which the regulators change the rules and the energy companies are incentivized to help their customers save energy rather than obliged to help their customers do so. Point 2 on the screen is about assembling the evidence we need to make informed choices about what retrofit measures deliver the best outcomes for what kind of properties and what kind of occupancies. We do have the data out there somewhere. Hundreds of thousands of measures have been installed over the last decade or two under previous and current energy conservation schemes, Warm Homes, CERT, CESP, Eco and the Green Deal. But we've never brought the data together, compared and contrasted, so we work out what works best in what circumstances. And out of that will come identification of gaps, which we need to plug with carefully targeted research. We also need to complete the task of characterising and quantifying the commonest types of construction of homes in the UK. Most of that data is there, but it's not complete, and the data hasn't been cleansed. Now, these are big data tasks. The Horizon 2020 programme stands ready to fund some of that work, and in the UK, the Research Council UK's energy programme stands ready to help fund that. If we've got a good evidence base, it'll help us aggregate demand, and it'll help plan and prioritise the work that needs to be carried out. Now, point 4 is the public face of the programme. The energy companies who've been doing some of this work so far are by and large not trusted by their customers, and for this to succeed, we need it to be fronted by trusted organisations. And there are 2 particular groups in the UK that I think are trusted, are experienced in dealing with the public, understand home improvements and are locally based, and that's housing associations and local authorities. I think they'll be hard pressed by the scale of the task, and they're going to need help from the private sector in doing all this and being the public face and in organising and managing it. There's also community groups and the larger and better private landlords. I think they're going to have an important role to play as well. Now, delivery, I think physical delivery will be by the major construction companies and also the many thousands of micro enterprises that work in construction in the UK. It's very clear that many households in the UK turn to their local micro enterprise, a plumber, a local builder, for energy conservation advice. What new boiler should I get? What insulation should I put in? No government policy recognises or addresses this group, and I think that's an important group to be targeted and brought into the whole process. Also, with the various incentive schemes we've had in the UK, experience shows that industry can ramp up very fast to deliver at scale if it's called upon to do so and if it has the confidence to do so. And that brings us back to point 6, which is the common goal. The enormous demand which I hope will be created by improving 4 million homes, and I think we can do it in a decade, combined with the confidence provided by cross-party consensus, should allow industry to invest, drive down unit costs, and that's something we do. So at this point, the programme will have created the conditions in which it's both attractive and affordable for ordinary homeowners, the able to pay, to improve their homes. Energy costs will have continued to rise, the costs of home improvements will have fallen, there'll be growing evidence of a link between a home's energy efficiency and its value. I know that strikes lots of people as a very odd thing, but the evidence is starting to be gathered in Western Europe, in England and in Wales. Research has shown that. Large-scale demand, I think, will allow lenders to reduce interest rates, and it may even be that in the UK the Treasury will be willing to underwrite zero interest loans, as happens in Germany, because of the economic stimulus that this will provide. But that's all good, but that may not be enough. The delivery agency's biggest task may then be in promoting policies or interventions that persuade homeowners to act to improve the energy efficiency of their homes and reduce their energy consumption. And there's an interesting debate to be had about the role of compulsion in all this. For example, in the UK, when you sell a home, there's a tax on it called stamp duty, and some have suggested that there could be a rebate or an elimination of stamp duty if the home owner has significantly improved and demonstrably improved the energy efficiency of their home. So there you have it. If it's done well, it'll bring enormous benefits to the country. Improved energy security, reduced energy bills, the elimination of fuel poverty, reduced demand on the health service, increased gross domestic product, reduced greenhouse gas emissions, and quite a lot more. It'll be very difficult to do, but I think it is achievable, and we all have a part to play. Thank you.